Good afternoon. Hope everyone can hear us okay. Thumbs up if you can hear us. Perfect. Thank you for taking your afternoon to meet with us for a little bit. My name is Zach McMeans, and I serve as the Student Success Coordinator for the Paul Engler College of Agriculture and Natural Sciences. A few ground rules before we get started. Ask that you make sure that you're muted and leave yourself muted. That way we can cut down on background noise. We will have an opportunity for questions and answers. And we ask that when we get to that point, if you will, raise your hand using the feature within Zoom. And so to get there, you should have a More tab on your screen, and you can go to More, and then it'll give you that opportunity. And so then we can call on you, and you can unmute yourself. In addition to that, there is a chat box. And so we have Deanna Moore with us, who's a member of our team, and she'll be kind of monitoring the chat box. So you can put a question in there at any time, and then we will do our best to answer those at the end. So with that being said, again, we appreciate you taking your lunch break to join us. And I'm joined by Dr. Kevin Pond, who's Dean of the college, and I will let him begin.
Great. Again, welcome. We're delighted to have you here. Usually we would have had this discussion with you in person as you were here for orientation. So this is probably the best we can do at this point, but we thought we would be able to put some faces with names and also be here to answer questions that you may have, since we are under a very different start to our fall semester than normally. But I thought I'd give you a little bit of background about the college. This is the Paul Engler College of Agriculture and Natural Sciences, named for Paul Engler. And Paul Engler is a former cattle feeder and entrepreneur. And he decided one of his legacies was going to be in education. And he gave a gift to the university of $1 million per year forever. And that is split between the College of Business and our college. So $500,000 comes in every year from Mr. Engler's foundation. And we use that primarily for matching scholarships and other things that help us make the college as great as it is. So Paul Engler, you may meet. Paul will be 91. Let's see, it's your birthday, August 23rd.
Thank you.
Rebecca is not Paul, but they do share.
I look good for 90.
They do share a birth date. But Paul does have an office in the Ag Sciences building, and he comes on Thursdays. So you may want to meet a giant in the field sometime. The college is the largest college for undergraduates in the university. The university is expecting to have somewhere around 10,000 students this fall. We may be down slightly because of COVID. The college has about 1,400 students distributed in 3 departments, the Department of Agricultural Sciences, Department of Chemistry and Physics, and also our Lee's Department, Life, Earth, and Environmental Sciences. So those are the 3 departments that your students would be involved with. And we have a very close-knit college. We have large numbers, but we have a big family. And so I think you'll find that as your student explores what we have here at WT. Now, West Texas A&M University is part of the Texas A&M University system. So much of the things we're going to talk about, we take guidance from West Texas A&M. And they will indicate new things that are to do with Corona. They'll indicate new things that are to be done with the way we offer classes. That comes to the president of our university, Dr. Walter Wendler, and he interprets that and lets us know what the regulations and requirements are. And then within the college, we kind of have our own opportunities to do what's needed to make sure our students are well taken care of and classes are meeting appropriately and so forth. So, but we are part of the A&M system. So if you hear something about the A&M system is doing this, we probably will be doing something similar. The great thing about the college is that we are independent in terms of making decisions about how we advise our students, whether we have a Zoom interview or Zoom time with parents like we're doing today. And you'll find that we communicate as well. In fact, many of you should have received, if you received an email from Zach, should have received the Buff Brief, which is a weekly publication that goes out to keep everyone informed on campus. And we've included parents in that as well, because many of the parents want to know what's going on and learn about what student activities are, what successes are happening, and so forth. So you should be included on that. If you're not, send an email and we'll add you to that. If you don't want to be bothered by an email at 6 a.m. on Monday morning every week, you can also unsubscribe from that. But I think most of our people find that it is something to look forward to, and knowing what's going on and a little bit more about the professors, the instructors, the staff, and the news and the calendar. So we're excited to have you here via Zoom. Rebecca Bachman is our assistant dean, and she does everything that's associated with the undergraduate programs. And she has been very busy this summer trying to make arrangements for us to continue to have face-to-face classes for our students. So Rebecca, I'd like to turn it over to you to talk a little bit about some of the things that you've been working on and really what the fall is going to look like for students this year.
Thank you. So good afternoon or good morning, wherever you're located. Thanks again for making time to join us today. There's a few things that I want to make sure we talk about today, and one of those is what the schedule is going to look like for students and classes this fall. And remember that today, the schedule as I'm going to share it today is the schedule for today. And of course, because of the nature of the situation that we're in, it is very possible that things might change between now and then. But our goal is to try to have this plan in place. We have spent quite a bit of time readjusting our schedule so that classes are in classrooms at about 50% capacity to allow for proper social distancing and to make sure that students stay in an environment that they can still interact with one another without having to do too much web-based education. I really want to review a few things before we get to the classes. And one of those things is that for degrees in the state of Texas, it is 120 credit hours. And so within that, there's 42 hours of core, there are degree requirements, and then some degrees have elective credit as part of their degree. So it's really broken down about 3 different places. For most incoming students, depending on whether you're an incoming freshman or whether your student is an incoming transfer student, they will have a combination of core curriculum, degree requirements. Electives sometimes happen when students first come in, but if a student really kind of already knows what we're going to be doing, we try not to do too many electives at the beginning. So as we talk today about the classes in our college, it's important to remember that the classes that I'm referring to are going to be classes that are offered through the 3 departments that Dr. Pond mentioned earlier: agricultural sciences, life, earth, and environmental science, and chemistry and physics. While your students may have other classes from other departments on their schedule, I am not able to respond to all of those other different departments and how they're administering classes. So it's really important when you are working with your student on their schedule that you realize the classes that I'm referring to are really the classes administered in our college. There are really 4 formats of classes for this fall semester. The first format is face-to-face, and that would be what we tend to think of as a traditional classroom environment. Students are going to come to class 2 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday. If there's a lab, it's going to meet once a week. And so face-to-face is still going to occur on this campus in the fall. And I would say at this point, we're probably 60, maybe more than 60% of the classes in our college are being administered face-to-face. The intent, certainly for freshman students, is for us to try to create as much traditional education environment as we can, because what we know is that students who start college, the first year is difficult. It's a transition, and it's difficult for everybody. It's not that students that were really successful in high school don't have a problem when they come to college. It's not that students that struggled in high school have more problems. Everybody has a transition to make, and that includes you guys as the support system. And so what we know is that traditional courses, classroom environment allows students to create communities and groups with one another. It allows them to interact with the faculty on a face-to-face basis. And so from a retention standpoint, we feel very strongly that lower level classes try to meet as routinely as possible face-to-face. We're fortunate at the Ag Complex to have a large pavilion space where we've actually converted that to classroom space for the fall. So we've been able to move some classes that are very large into that space. And by very large, the largest class in our college right now is 120 students in a class. That's the largest. And so that facility allows us to then sort of a cascade effect of other classes that can move into classrooms. And so we have the face-to-face result. The second type of format is what's called a hybrid format. Hybrid indicates that a student has part of the class in a web-based format, but part of the class they're expected to be in the classroom. And so there's a face-to-face component, there's a web-based component, and that's what we call hybrid. A hybrid class usually has identified the day and time that the class is expected to meet. So for instance, we have a class that might be a hybrid reproductive physiology class. The lecture may be administered one day a week, but every student is expected to be in the lab. So hybrid is a combination of face-to-face where you're actually in the class and then a web-based component. HyFlex is a new term that we're using, and I'm not really sure if we're using it properly, but HyFlex is the term that we're using for some classes to be in a 50% capacity in the classroom, so that half of the students are going to attend on Monday, half of the students might attend on Wednesday in the classroom, and the alternate day, those students will be attending from a remote location. So the class is going to be simulcast or live streamed, however you want to refer to that, but the faculty who's actually lecturing will be recorded at that time and a student can watch right then. There is some faculty who haven't yet decided if they're going to make those recordings available afterwards or not. And the reason is that if a student is unable to come to class, they still should be able to participate and watch and listen and participate in the class via remote location. And so one day a week they will be in the classroom, one day a week they will be remotely delivered. This is also, like I said, a new delivery method for us. And so this allows us to have larger classes meet at a 50%-ish capacity. And the fourth format is web-based instruction, and that is fully online. And so a lot of times incoming students say, oh yeah, I've done online. I did a lot of dual credit in high school. Well, what that means is that you may have completed your class in a high school classroom with a teacher in the classroom, but traditional web-based courses at college are very self-directed. Those courses do not have, the structure that is created for them. The student has to create the structure for themselves. And so there might be a deadline at the end of the week and all the assignments are due at the end of the week, but there's not a whole lot of structure to the class. And the flexibility and beauty of a web-based class is that it is flexible, so it allows the students to do something else. Historically, web-based classes are not a great fit for incoming freshmen. And it is because of the self-discipline and time management skills that are needed to accomplish those classes, a full schedule of web-based classes. So a few comments I would make about all of these methods. Again, there are 4 formats, but every class will be recorded in this live capture method during the semester because of the response that we need to be able to give to students who may become ill or who are uncomfortable being in the classroom for a short period of time. I think it's important for students and their support systems to understand that because that flexibility is there, doesn't mean that they might in all classes be able to just not be on campus. Because there may be some classes that have an expectation if the person is well, that they're going to be in class on certain activities or labs or those kinds of things. And so we're going to have to ask for a little bit of grace from everybody until those situations happen. But the idea is that all the classes will be captured so that a student doesn't get behind if they become ill or if a family member becomes ill and they need to make accommodations. This is not the same as somebody being in a purely web-based schedule because of the fact that there's a time and a day that the class is meeting, whereas a web-based schedule it's completely free. And I hope if you have questions, we can answer those about the formats. Did I miss something in that?
I'd say one additional thing, we realize that face-to-face is really, really important, especially for new students. And so if a student wishes to attend face-to-face, they can attend class face-to-face for all classes, even with the high flex that we talked about, or the hybrid. We want to have that ability for students to be able to attend face-to-face, because that is the way that we think that learning best occurs, and provide socialization for the students as well. So all those options that we talked about, we are stressing that the face-to-face and interaction with the instructor is very important.
And then the last thing that I have on my formal schedule, and I want to make sure we have time for questions, but that you as students support system have an important role in the process of coming to college. And whether it's your first student or whether it's your fourth, every student is different. And so their time when they come is going to be different. And obviously times change, and we are in the midst of a time that is unlike any other that any of your other children may have experienced when they came to college. But because all of your students are enrolled at this point, FERPA is in place. FERPA is the Family Educational Rights to Privacy Act, and it protects your students' privacy both academically and financially. If you want, and if your student has given you permission for that, you can seek and receive permission in the BUF portal so that we can talk to you about academics and or financial. Those are two separate ones. But my most important advice that I can give to you as support systems is to have really good relationships and communication with your students and encourage them to begin to start advocating for themselves. And back in the day, we used to say that all you had to do to be successful in college was to go to class. And I would tell you that that's still very important, but I'm going to add a second one, which is that students need to ask for help. There are incredible amounts of resources on this campus. There are great people all over that are very, very helpful to students, and we all want students to succeed. But we're not magical. And so we don't know when someone is struggling if they don't always reach out to us. And I hope that you'll encourage students before the semester starts, and then as we go through the semester, that when they have questions, they just need to ask for help. It's one of the biggest reasons we wanted to do Zoom today, so you have names and faces, and we can help sort of direct people for assistance. If we know they're having trouble, we'll find a way to help them. And so please let us be on the team, because we really do love WT, and it's a great place to be. I see there's a question. Can I answer that?
Yes, and I'm going to read the question out loud for everyone in case they don't have their chat box open. The question is, what if our student already has their schedule? How do we know what format type of classes they have now?
This is a great question. In some cases, if they're already in a web-based course, the section number is 70 or a rendition of 70. And so if it's a purely online web-based delivered course, it has a section number of 70. The rest of the courses are still in a process of being probably adjusted, because the whole campus is really going through the process of trying to find classrooms to accommodate whatever format they can. In the case of our college, we hope that those classroom assignments are done by the end of this week so that the schedule is current in terms of locations. And then faculty will communicate with students probably starting next week in our college. Again, I'm only talking about in our college, but faculty will start reaching out to students to let them know what the format is as of today. And I think it's important because of the fluid nature of the situation. Everybody understand that things potentially could change, but as of today, they will be notifying students about what their plans are. And a very strong encouragement to any students that are here and support people, check your WT email. That is how we communicate with you.
Thank you, Rebecca. We have a second question. Did I understand that the student can attend all classes in person?
I'm the one that brought that up, so let me answer that. Yes, that is correct. The student can go to class. We don't want to prohibit students from coming to class. If it is a lecture-based class that a student can go to, it's a Monday, Wednesday class, and it's indicated that half the students come on Monday and half the students come on Wednesday. Those students who wish to come to the class both days can do so. Now, we may have to do some things with social distancing to accommodate all of that, but our thought pattern is to give those students who request to come to class that opportunity to come to class both times, not just be limited to one.
And it's important that you know that that's just in the classes in our college, because I'm not sure that every class is going to have that capability, right?
That's correct, although our provost, who's been very active, and he would be the one who's in charge of all academic programs for the university, he has made that statement repeatedly that he wants to be able to accommodate students who need or want to be in class for every class meeting. So I think there will be accommodations made going forward, but in our college, with the classes that we control, we would for sure be giving that opportunity.
So just a reminder that we are open for questions, so feel free to put those in the chat box. And then if you'd rather ask out loud, you can use the raise your hand feature. Again, that should be under the More tab. And if you have problems finding that, if you have your camera on, we can see you. You can just wave at us and we'll call on you too.
You can wave, you can raise your hand the old-fashioned way. It'll be just fine.
Wow, no questions? Does that mean that we answered all the questions, or you have no questions?
All right. Well, again, we want to thank you for joining us. Just offer another piece of advice. I want to echo what Ms. Bachman said about making sure your student is checking their WT email. They have already started receiving some communication from myself. And I would also have you encourage them, if they have any questions, have them feel free to reach out to me. And if I don't know the answer, I will make sure that we plug them in with somebody who can help. We're looking forward to seeing your students on campus. It has been quite strange. We have not had students on campus since March. Today is our first day of summer 2 classes. So we're excited to have students back on campus, and we're looking forward. Now we're getting some questions
Good job, people.
coming
Good job.
in. All right. So first question is, will the tuition cost be the same regardless of method?
So that is a good question. I do not think that there's not a difference right now in terms of the cost per class. Now, I believe that for a student that is completely online, and that would be students that were in all hours, full-time and all hours that had a 70 section, I believe that there is a waiver of some sort, but I do not know the details of that. But Shannon, if you will send Zach an email, we will follow up on what that is. Shannon Ellenberger, there are 2 Shannons. I'm sorry. Shannon Ellenberger, will you send an email? Okay, thank you.
All right, next question. I've heard that A&M is doing things different with classes regarding Thanksgiving and finals. Is WT doing the same?
I'm reading the rest of it, Dr. Pond. We've been told several people need to have, sure, okay.
Hello, this is Dr. Pond.
I'll answer about Texas A&M has made the decision that they would like to have the opportunity to have all classes completed, perhaps with even finals even concluded before Thanksgiving, or have the final exams given after Thanksgiving at the normal time period. That's the approach that they're taking. We are taking the approach that we plan to keep the university open, but there is opportunity, depending on how things might change, or opportunity for a given instructor to be able to say, no, we would like to have our class assignments completed by Thanksgiving, and given an opportunity to take the final before Thanksgiving or take the final while you're at home. There are other professors who have indicated that they're going to have 4 exams during the semester, and they're going to allow the dropping of one, And if you're happy with the first three, you don't have to take the final. So there are many things that could happen. But right now, the university will not be shutting down after Thanksgiving. It will be operational, and we will be here. So it's yet to be determined exactly what's going to happen, but I think at this point, assume that there will be options that will be given by faculty members that will allow that to occur. And certainly, if we have COVID causes problems that we do not foresee at this time, we will be able to change very rapidly.
I also think that some faculty will have addressed that in their syllabus for each class. And so important for students to read through the syllabus at the beginning of this class to sort of look at those calendar dates and see if people have already made a plan. In general, I would say that faculty will absolutely communicate with students if it's something outside of the normal calendar.
And to add to that, I think one of the things that's very important, the syllabus that the faculty members give each student should have all of the details that need to be covered by that individual, that student in class. And so there probably will be a clause in, well, this could change depending on what occurs with COVID or other circumstances. And so that will be communicated directly with the students, and look forward to having your input on that if things should change.
Any further questions? All right. Well, once again, thank you for joining us. We are looking forward to meeting your students. And if you find yourself on campus in the fall, feel free to stop by. We are located in the Happy State Bank Academic and Research Building, room 262, and we look forward to social distantly meeting you. So again, wish you the best. If your student has any questions, please have them contact me. I'll put my email address in the chat box, or I would if our keyboard was working. Deanna, could you put my email in the chat box? So we have recorded this meeting. We will be sending it out. Thanks again for joining us.
I've got one question. We always like to evaluate what we do. Was this worthwhile? Thumbs up if it was worthwhile. We can see parts of it. Thank you. And we may do it again if things do change. We may have another opportunity. We would like to communicate with you, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact us. We're looking forward to meeting a few of you and seeing your loved one here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.